Have you ever heard the claim that humans share about 50 to 60% of their DNA with bananas? At first glance, it sounds completely ridiculous. After all, bananas don't walk, talk, think, or build civilizations. They don't write books, invent smartphones, or send rockets into space. They're just fruit. So how could scientists possibly say that you, a human being, are genetically similar to a banana? So today we're going to find out, do we really share 60% of our DNA with bananas? We will find answers to that right here on History of Food. The answer lies in one of the most fascinating discoveries in modern biology. All life on Earth is connected. When people hear that humans share 50 to 60% of their DNA with bananas, many imagine that half of their entire genetic code is identical to a banana's. But that's not exactly what scientists mean. The statement refers to the proportion of genes that are similar enough to perform comparable biological functions. In other words, many of the genes that help keep a banana alive are related to genes that help keep you alive. To understand why, we need to go back billions of years. Life on Earth is thought to have begun around 3.5 to 4 billion years ago with simple microscopic organisms. Over immense spans of time, these early life forms evolved into the incredible diversity of plants, animals, fungi, and microorganisms we see today. Despite their differences, every living thing on the planet descends from ancient common ancestors. Because of this shared history, many of the basic biological instructions needed for life have been preserved across species. Think of DNA as a giant instruction manual. Every organism has its own version, but many chapters are surprisingly similar. Whether you're a human, a banana, a mouse, or a mushroom, your cells need to perform fundamental tasks. They need to generate energy, repair damage, copy genetic material, grow, and reproduce. The genes responsible for these essential functions often look remarkably alike across different forms of life. This is why scientists can compare the genomes of completely different organisms and still find substantial overlap. The banana itself is an impressive organism from a genetic perspective. The banana genome contains more than 30,000 genes, which is actually more than the roughly 20,000 protein-coding genes found in humans. Having more genes doesn't necessarily make an organism more complex. It simply reflects different evolutionary needs and adaptations. Plants often require large numbers of genes to respond to environmental challenges such as drought, disease, pests, and changing temperatures. When researchers compared human genes with banana genes, they found that thousands of them have recognizable counterparts. These shared genes often control fundamental cellular processes that all living organisms depend on. One reason this surprises people is that we tend to focus on outward appearances. Humans and bananas obviously look nothing alike, but evolution works at a deeper level than appearances. Underneath the skin, every living cell operates using many of the same molecular tools. For example, both human cells and banana cells use DNA to store genetic information. Both use RNA to help translate genetic instructions. Both rely on proteins to carry out most biological functions. Both use ATP, often called the energy currency of life, to power cellular activities. Even the genetic code itself, the system that translates DNA instructions into proteins, is nearly universal across all known life forms. The banana comparison isn't even the most surprising example of genetic similarity in nature. Humans share about 98 to 99% of their DNA with chimpanzees, our closest living relatives. We share around 85% with mice. Surprisingly, We also share roughly 60% of our genes with chickens and a significant portion with fruit flies. Even tiny yeast cells, which are used to bake bread and brew beer, possess many genes that perform functions similar to those found in humans. These similarities have enormous scientific value. Because many genes are shared across species, scientists can study simpler organisms to learn about human biology. Fruit flies, mice, zebrafish, and even yeast have become essential tools in medical research. Discoveries made in these organisms often provide insights into human diseases, genetics, aging, and development. The claim about bananas also highlights a common misunderstanding about genetics. DNA isn't a measure of value, intelligence, or complexity. Sharing DNA with another organism doesn't mean we're similar in every way. Small differences in genetic instructions can lead to enormous differences in appearance, behavior, and biology. For example, humans and chimpanzees share nearly all of their DNA, yet the small percentage that differs contributes to significant distinctions in language, cognition, anatomy, and culture. Likewise, the genes that make humans uniquely human represent only a tiny fraction of our overall genome. In many ways, the banana comparison serves as a reminder of how interconnected life truly is. Every plant, animal, fungus, and microbe on Earth is part of the same vast evolutionary family tree. The differences between species are real and important, but beneath those differences lies a shared biological foundation that stretches back billions of years. So the next time someone says you share about half your genes with a banana, don't dismiss it as a strange scientific joke. It's actually a glimpse into one of biology's deepest truths. The same genetic language that helps a banana grow on a tropical plant also helps your cells function every second of every day. Far from being a weird coincidence, it's evidence of our shared ancestry with all living things. And perhaps that's the most remarkable part of the story. Hidden inside every cell of your body is a molecular record of life's ancient history, a history that connects you not only to other people and animals, but also to the humble banana sitting in your fruit bowl. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.